Eli in the studio. Welcome to this edition of FYI. I am here with the return of Mr. Greg Feynman, UOR Investigations. He has more interesting information to share with our listeners in northern New Mexico and southern Colorado. Greg Feynman, welcome again to this edition of FYI.
How you doing, Eli?
I'm doing really well. I have to tell you, Greg, I've had more feedback on your first interview than I've had in such a long time. You're a retired police officer and a medic. Did you ever think that after you retired, you would take up a new career that is compelling, interesting, and so intriguing?
Absolutely not. If you would have told me this, 5 or 6 years ago or 7 years ago, I'd have, told you, you're probably crazy. But it's surreal what's going on. It's surreal because everything that's happened and the reality of it, it's just, surreal.
We spoke about a month ago. That's when we had our last interview. Mm-hmm. What has transpired since? I know you're still located on the ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any more pertinent information for our listeners in both New Mexico and Colorado today?
Well, we had talked a little bit about a ground crew that's used. I got on the ranch. One of the theories that I had was that there's markings that they're marked prior to being killed. The cows are marked prior to being killed. And after they're being killed, they're testing high in radiation. All right. And so my theory was that if we could find one that's marked, that it would probably test for radiation, because of the possibility of it being in close contact with something else that's radiated. So in order for them to get close, they have to get close, they have to mark it. But I was wrong. I was wrong on that. They are being marked, but they're not being marked by friends in the sky. They're not the ones that do it. They have a ground crew that helps them on this, on the mutilations, on which one is next to be killed, which one is next to be chosen.
No idea the number of the ground crew, the numbers.
We believe the number in this particular ground crew is about 5.
Okay.
But we, in October of 2020, while investigating out on the ranch, we came in contact with that ground crew that let themselves known. And that ground crew is a family of Sasquatch that is out there. Now, you might think it might be crazy that what I'm saying. I thought it was crazy when it was happening. I couldn't believe it when it was going on, when they first introduced themselves. That incident, I almost didn't want to say who I believed we were in contact with because it didn't sound real. But nevertheless, we came in contact and we've been talking to them telepathically since October and gifting apples since October.
Have you found impressions in the dirt?
No, and I'm sure we probably might find something, but that's not the meaning of our investigation, is trying to prove their existence, and that's why they're talking to us. We asked them, are you guys aware when our friends in the sky come and take the cows? And before Omah, and that's who they like to be called, is Omah, not Sasquatch. They hate Sasquatch, they hate Bigfoot. But these cows, they're very aware when they come and take the cows. What we were told is they possess a sophisticated piece of equipment that scans the cow, tells them what they need to know about the cow, and if it's a suitable one. And then they've got to catch that cow when it's off guard, and they got to mark it with something that comes off of their hand. Now, I don't know if it's something they put on their hand or if it's something that comes off naturally, but whatever that marking is, it's only visible with a black light.
The eradication of the internal organs, the blood that has been taken, leaving the area pretty much spotless, is that pretty much the norm for every UVD cattle mutilation?
Any legitimate UBD, you know, I mean, I can't speak for everyone that has been considered a UBD, but yes, a lot of times, you know, I have to say almost every time the blood has been evacuated. As far as the organs being taken, there's no exact rhyme or reason, and there's always a head scratcher, all right, what I call an Easter egg. There's always something that's left that makes you wonder, like the last UBD that was reported to me November 2nd of 2020. But the death happened sometime in June. All right. And there wasn't nothing left but the skeleton and the hide. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you, you would think, well, how would you know from that? It was just obvious when you look at it that it was something, it was done unusually, and it couldn't have been done by human hands. And not only that, the rancher started pointing out all of the similarities that this one had that the other ones that he had. And we found 10 yards from that cow, we found a bone, perfect condition, boned. It was just sitting there. It was in a U-shaped, had holes on each side of it. And I took it to a vet to get identified. And he said it was the unformed pelvis of a unborn calf. So it was the calf. It was the pelvis of the calf that was taken about 3 months old. That cow was about 3 months pregnant when it happened, and so that was left.
You talk about FITS, Friends in the Sky. You also mentioned about alien tribes. One tribe particularly does not want you there doing the investigations on the ranch. Some of the alien tribes are friendly. And you've differentiated between the two, correct?
Well, that, from what we know that FITS is our friends. They're here for our own good. They're here for our benefit. And for whatever reason, we've come in contact with another alien tribe, like we spoke about before, that does not like me, and I didn't know why. I don't know why, but when we asked them why you do not like me, their question was, it's not what you're doing to us now, it's what you're going to be doing. So I don't know what that means.
Your sophisticated equipment was fried?
Yep.
Your computer?
Both of them.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Your vehicle totaled out?
Yep.
This has to be one of the alien tribes that do not want you there.
Well, one of the last times me and Mama Sue went out there, they told us to leave for our own safety. And I felt, the first time I've ever felt uncomfortable out on that ranch is that night. And we got ourselves to the road, got ourselves out and to the road, and I looked at my gauges, and my vehicle was overheating. And we're out, it's 2:30 in the morning, we're out 20 miles east of town, and I got to limp my vehicle in. I can't just, walk into town. And so I limped it into town, and it died right at the travel shop. And I had to walk home from there. But when I got out and I looked, there was a stick about 8 inches, 10 inches long, that went under my bumper and into the 1 inch by 1 inch area that my radiator was exposed, and hit it. And it was a 1 in a million shot.
Greg, you've seen it all. Former medic, former law enforcement. This is a whole different ballgame. That night at the ranch where you said you were precariously pretty much dismayed, maybe scared, what were your initial thoughts when you were at the ranch when that happened?
I know that I'm being protected. So, first of all, I got the protection of God around me when I'm out there. So I don't really fear anything because God's got my back. All right. FITS, for whatever reason, they're protecting me. I don't know why, but I've, stopped going out to the ranch by myself at night. Because of what's going on, I don't want to put them in a situation where they got to try to help me. I don't know. For whatever reason, they don't like me, and I don't want to go out the ranch by myself. My vehicle could break down when I'm out there. Something could happen. I don't know, and there'd be no witnesses.
Greg, what exactly has the general public learned in the last 50 to 100 years about UBDs? I mean, they're happening all the time.
I can't say anyone and I'd mentioned this before. I'm not, knocking anyone's investigation into the UBDs, but I just did mine different than everyone else. Like I had to look at what everyone isn't doing, because the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over that doesn't work and expecting a different result. And so I wanted to do things differently. And by gaining Mama Sue as a partner was everything, because without her, I tell you what, I'd have a bunch of dead cows. That's it, without her.
I think you remember saying that Fitz, friends in the sky usually come when there are thunderstorms. Any particular reason why?
Well, they said the day that I got the lightning strike that they gave me, Mama Sue got, at the same time I was getting the lightning strike, she was getting "We Come with the Storms." All right, and she was on her way down for us to do an investigation that night. And I called her to tell her about the lightning strike, and she was trying to tell me about what she got, and we were both wanting to tell each other what we got. And I said, "Well, you first. No, you tell me." And so I told first, and then she said what she said, that they come with the storms. And the reason is what we do know. We said that the craft comes in about 30 feet off the ground, but it comes in looking like a low-lying cloud. And let me tell you, it gets so cloudy and foggy out there, you can't see in front of your face. And so they only need to be covered for about maybe 3 to 4 seconds for the time that they're here.
Greg, why do you think all of these cloud formations happen in front of your house? Are these alien tribes responsible for this?
No, it's not the other alien tribe. And I'll say what we believe. It's the reptilians. That's the alien tribe that don't like us. But everything that's happened out in front of my house has been Fitz, just letting me know what they can do, letting me know that they are the mechanism for a lot of things that have happened. I was reading, the first time they showed me a cloud formation in front of my house, I was reading in the Bible, 2 Chronicles 6:1, and Solomon said, God said he would dwell in a dark cloud. And I go to my front door, and there sits a dark cloud just sitting there. And then again, a year later, I was telling you about my friend from Northern California, and a cloud formed right in front of him, and it was the same kind of cloud, the same distance away. It was, yeah.
I need to ask you this question. People have actually stated they have experienced time loss, like in hours. What can this be attributed to?
Well,
now, is this an abduction theory, hypothesis?
That's a very high possibility. And what we do know, that they can take you, I call it being taken in between the seconds, where they can come into our dimension, because Fitz has not traveled galaxies to get here as much as they've traveled dimensions. Okay?
So are there portals open that lead to other dimensions?
There is. And God has created one big universe, and he's put life on all different planets, and he separated us all by dimensions. All right? And Fitz has the master key to our dimension. And they break into our dimension to take, like, let's say they want to take me. They break into our dimension, they take me, and they take me into their area, and they're able to manipulate time in a way where when they take you, you could be in their area for 5, 6, 7 hours, but when they put you back, they put you back in the same second that they took you.
1 second.
All right? So it happened. But you're going to have this weird sensation of time loss that it's like a reverse time loss. So what they do is if they take you for 4 hours, they make sure you sleep for 4 hours. That's the best thing I can tell you, but that's how they're taken. And the reason that it's not happening in between the seconds when the cows are taken is because what we do know is the cows, they get really restless when the clouds come in. They look up and they see the lights coming through the skies, and they all scatter. And the Fitz is looking for one in particular cow, not just a cow. They're looking for that one particular cow that's not going to cooperate. So from the time they go into our dimension till the time they acquire that one cow, and then they're gone. So it could be 3 seconds, and then the next second you may see that cow dropping out of the sky. And that's why 16 times there's been a UBD on this ranch that's all been within eyeshot of the house, and the rancher hasn't seen one thing. You know, you had mentioned the government. The government had to sneak on the property 16 separate times to do something like this. It just doesn't seem feasible.
If you were just joining us on this edition of FYI, I am welcoming back Mr. Greg Feynman, UOR Investigations. He's been most kind to spend some time with us here at the radio station, telling us about the UVDs, the cattle mutilations. He's been staying on a ranch close here. And I want you to reiterate to our listeners who may have missed last program about the 16 mutilations compared to the 16 traffic fatalities in the near vicinity.
The 16 traffic accident-related deaths, they're directly related to the mutilations. Mama Sue got, when the first reading she got that day, she got that when we went out to the traffic accident site, that somehow they're related. She doesn't know if they're on purpose or not. But through the investigation, we found that they are directly related. And Fitz is putting us in a position, someone in a position where they can capture the human spirit upon death and capture that spirit and animate it into a body they've created using that cow's blood. But it ain't going to work. Only God can do that. All right? Only God can do that. All right? So that's what we do know. All right? And why are they trying to animate a body? Well, that's for, you'll have to watch the documentary on why all that's being done. And you may think that that's not right. That's not, whatever. And you got to understand, this ain't coming from human terms. What they're doing is trying to save humanity. They're trying to save humanity. And so they're doing everything they can in order to do that, because we're our own worst enemy, Eli.
Excuse me, Greg, that's what I wanted to ask you. How has the documentary Purgatory been progressing, and what is entailed in this documentary? It sounds pretty fascinating.
Well, it's basically entails my experience through the whole investigation, putting it all together into one story. And it branches off into different stories, and you're going to find out that the cattle mutilations is a side story. It's just a side story, to what's really happening, why they're doing it, and I said before that life is going to be different, way different in the next couple of years. I don't know when, but we just know it's going to be way different.
I'm going to ask you something. Maybe we're going to touch on something maybe of a delicate nature now. You read all of these accounts about missing people around the United States that are not accounted for. Sometimes they'll maybe end up in another state. Sometimes they'll end up in the same area where they were maybe dropped off. Do you want to touch on that subject about the disappearance of maybe something that you know about in the recent vicinity?
Okay, so we went out to the location of the traffic accidents just to see what we would get. And we came in contact with a spirit out there that at first we thought was involved in one of those vehicle accidents. I mean, what else would be out there? For crying out loud, there's 16 traffic accident-related deaths. What could else possibly be out there? Well, we came in contact with this spirit, and through one investigation night and information that Mama Sue got after the investigation, found out that this person that we came in contact with might have been a missing person. So we investigate that, And while we're out there, 15, 20 miles east of town, we get this story from this spirit, and we finally get the name, and it all matches up with a person missing out of another state. And the way she went missing, it says she went missing without a trace. Last seen at this time and never heard of again. Okay, now, I was a cop, and I took a lot of missing persons reports, and there was always a clue of where they might have went, whatever. But with her, there's not one trace, there's not one anything. And bottom line, she said she was coming out of a convenience store when two women feigning vehicle trouble lured her to the vehicle. So she went to the vehicle, and when she got there, sometime in that time frame, one of them jammed a needle in her neck, completely incapacitating her, and they took her from one state into a town very close to Trinidad, and custody was exchanged because this was a human trafficking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that took custody of her took her to an unknown location, and she was under chemical restraints. They had put these drugs in her, and they kind of re-injected her. So they took her to an unknown location, and unfortunately they sexually assaulted her there. But during that assault, she came out of her chemical restraints, and she started fighting for her life, and she did everything she could, and she kicked one of them, and she got up and ran away, and she's didn't have any clothes, and the one of the men had a machete, and they threw it at her, and it got her in the left arm, all but severing it. And then they realized that package ruined. They had to kill her, so they killed her. They dismembered her body, and they put her in plastic bags. And they, of all places, man, they could have went anywhere, but they went right to where that bridge is on where we're investigating, and threw her body in that river. Now, I thought when we first got it, I didn't report anything because I'm thinking, man, it doesn't make sense. That river doesn't run unless the lake dam is open.
Right.
Well, when we found out when she went missing, the day after she went missing, the Trinidad Lake Dam was opened up. So if you do the math from the time she was taken to the time she was transported where she was at to time she was transported out to the river, it was probably early morning hours of January 5th, and they looked over the river and saw it was over the floodplain. So they threw her in. So it makes sense. It does make sense. And at that point, I'm like, I got something here. I got to at least let the investigators in the town that, that they're in, let them know what's going on, what we got. They may not believe it, but they still need to know because I don't want that on my conscience.
Greg, what would you like to condense? We have about 2.5 minutes left for this edition of FYI. Give us an overview of anything you need to target right now, sir.
Well, I mean, nothing really to target as much as saying just, we have a documentary that's coming out. We are putting everything out that is truth. This is all fact.
Will that be released soon, Greg?
It's going to be I don't know when it's going to be released, but because I've never been through the process. We're in the process of filming and working on everything now. So in the next few months, it's definitely going to be coming out. And they can go to my YouTube page to look at UOR investigations and look at some of the stuff that I've got on there. And
if they want to contact you, they can also contact me here at the radio station, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
And then I can always forward that pertinent information to you as well.
Yeah, because, honest with you, this investigation is going to go for a while, and I am currently looking for a team member that, could be, but they're hard to find because people are afraid.
Is it an understatement to say you've put in blood, sweat, and tears during how many years now of investigation?
Well, I can say that a lot of us have, not just me. Mama Sue has, the rancher has. A lot of people have, and this is just part of it. Me trying to get the story out. I just wanted to, get to the bottom of the mutilations and how they're going down and why they're going down. And I tried to do it the best way I know how, the most honest way I know how to get that information out, the best way, most transparent way I can.
Greg, thank you so much for this candid, informative interview. God bless you. And another very intriguing, compelling interview like you surely had the first interview that we did about a month ago. 5-star UOR investigation team, and it's a testament to you. Kudos to you, sir. God bless you, and hopefully we're going to talk again soon for another segment.
Okay, anytime, Eli. Take care.